What's going on YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Deathstroke issue number 19, which is part 3 of the Lazarus Contract Storyline. As you all know, I've been trying to make my way through and covering every issue of Teen Titans Rebirth from the very beginning to the end, including the crossovers, and so that leads us to the next batch, which is Deathstroke issue number 19. Now, this issue was written by Christopher Priest, and I've given my viewpoints on Christopher Priest's Deathstroke run before. I was covering a lot of the issues post the Terminus agenda. I like Christopher Priest's Deathstroke run. I think there's a lot of really good stuff in here. Some stuff is definitely like I didn't like. I really didn't care for the Batman vs. Deathstroke arc. I think that was definitely the weakest aspect of the whole run. And usually when it came to crossovers, there were some questionable decisions made. Like I didn't care for the Terminus agenda and kind of what it did for some of those characters. But this crossover is probably I'd say this is the best of the crossovers in terms of like the ones that like tied into the Deathstroke run. I can't generally think of any that were better than this because we had the Terminus agenda. I can't remember if there's anything else, but let's go ahead and start talking about the issue. So again, this was written by Christopher Priest. As you remember, the last time Deathstroke was able to manifest the Speed Force from Wallace West and implement it into his Icon suit through a lot of complicated reasons. Like they kind of mentioned, like, oh, I'm able to do this, and I kind of referenced how his little Icon suit, just seemingly in this book, was able to pretty much do kind of anything that the plot needed it to. There was always some like crazy explanation that was like maybe like one sentence spoken like several issues prior or something. There's always like some crazy explanation for how it works or something. That's one thing I kind of always noticed about the run. But anyway, so and again, this is Christopher Priest writing, so he has kind of a non-linear style with the way he writes his comic books. So one minute it'll be the present, another thing it'll flash back to here, then it'll cut to another part, and it's done in a very unique. It's a very unique writing style, and I kind of like it because it does feel very different from like everything else that's going on out there. But it also does a good job showcasing the Slade Wilson family dynamic, and it does a good job like going into like their past and showcasing why characters act the way they are, giving a glimpse into his relationship with Grant and just kind of the tough love that Slade was giving him, and or the lack of at times. It's very interesting at times. So let's go ahead and get to this next part here. So as you can see, this is Dick Grayson. This is done a year after Grant Wilson's death. Obviously, it was Hive response. The thing that Hive gave him caused his heart to give out. And so Slade is willing to make a deal, what they call a Lazarus contract, which, as you hear, which is basically can be brought back to life if either of us fails to keep our word. So basically, in exchange with, basically, he wants Dick Grayson to take care of Rose Wilson and implement his values so she doesn't fall down the same path that Slade did. It's kind of his own form of tough love. In exchange for that, he's not going to go in and kill Deathstroke or kill any of the Titans because he made his word that he was going to go kill him because he inherited Grant's contract. But with this agreement, he's turning it into a Lazarus contract, meaning he's not going to go back on his word and go after them unless Dick Grayson violates it. So, yeah, so Wally West is there. He's facing down against Slade, and it's really not like his ideal playing field because normally he has the speed advantage. He's the only one who can, but when he's on an even playing field with Deathstroke, he pretty much has no chance due to Deathstroke's combat abilities, and Wally is kind of terrified about that, so he decides to up and leave to go find Jericho. And then we kind of go back to here. We see all the characters right here. Obviously, you got Tempest, Jackson Hyde, Arsenal, Nightwing, Starfire, Donna Troy, Raven, Omen, Beast Boy, Robin, Kid Flash, and most of these other characters are kind of just background things. So if you're going to have there, Damien's obviously going to be the loud one who's calling out Wallace for like some of his mistakes. Basically, he's like, so how the hell did he gain super speed from here? Like, did he torch you or something? He's like, he needed my help. He's like, wait, you trusted Deathstroke? Are you an idiot? Because Wally West called Wallace out for being really dumb and like, trying to listen to Deathstroke. But like Wallace is kind of more of an idealistic hero who wants to help people, and it's understandable what he wants to do, but there's certain people where you just really can't trust them. So Damien has a good point here, and he's like, look, you gave him access to the Speed Force. He could have just been lying and manipulating you for his own benefit, which, he was lying in some ways and was manipulating him for his own benefit, but like there are so many dire consequences to your actions. And again, Wallace didn't really realize his speed force is being siphoned. So he's both in the wrong, but also kind of not really. And Damian does have a good point of like, look, he obviously like Deathstroke with the speed force is very dangerous. Like there's so many consequences. And even then we see Slade executing people like in this issue after inheriting like speed force abilities through his icon suit. So, and again, one thing I do appreciate sometimes with Priest writing is he does leave for some funny like Damian lines of kind of being the asshole, but like also kind of some funny bits too in regards to it. Like sometimes I think this run kind of pushed it a little bit too much. I felt like he should have been a lot more mature at this point, considering how simultaneously with this book we also had Super Sons going on, which I think toned it down a little bit and made it a lot more humorous. But there are some funny bits here. We just found Kid Flash's hidden superpower, goal ability. Again, that's still some funny stuff. But anyway, so Wally goes after Jericho in order to try and like stop Slade, and we kind of get a little bit more into his backstory about how he's always fearful about becoming like Slade, and we get a little bit of a flashback scene where they go hunting together, and Grant's pretty much had it with his parents because his parents are really these kids had kind of a really rough upbringing with Slade and Adeline because they're both pretty they're both scumbags. Wintergreen's definitely more of the moral. He's kind of like the Alfred to Slade, and I like Wintergreen, but Slade is not the ideal father figure, and his actions inevitably led to the death of Grant Wilson by joining up with Hive and stuff. And even then, when Grant's ready to run away, Slade's like, "All right, go ahead, punch me. Let's see how tough you really are." Instead of being like the supportive father, he's giving him what he considers tough love. Hell, even Grant gets hit by a car and Slade's just seemingly off to the side smoking. So he's not really the best type of dad. But then we kind of cut to right here. It says 60 seconds. So in 60 seconds, Slade was basically all across the world using the Speed Force and just executing people, fulfilling contracts. And then we cut to right here, the Visitor. And there we have a much older Wintergreen. Slade's, I guess, doing his thing here. Uh, Talking about Rose and just how he's going to right the wrongs of being Deathstroke. Then we see a scene with Nightwing and Damian where they basically kind of like, okay, look, there can't be any problems between us. We're brothers, and I like how he acknowledges that, and we have to be on the same page, but we have to work together closely on this. He's like, all right, I agree. Apology accepted. Nightwing's really good at reeling in Damian from when he kind of goes a little bit far off the grids, and I always like that aspect of their relationship and dynamic. And again, I know they're brothers, but in a lot of ways, Dick Grayson is he kind of is a father figure to him. And in all honesty, Dick is probably the best father figure for Damian because Bruce definitely has his issues, as we know, based on some of the current comics that are coming out here. And it's just pretty much apparent to me that like Dick Grayson in my eyes, I think Damian should probably live with Dick Grayson. I think it would be better for him since Bruce isn't willing to, go the extra mile to help his son and do a better job raising him. And now that Alfred's not there, I just think, and plus their dynamic is really strong. But that's a discussion for another day. So Slade's there. He's having issues with the suit. He's obviously drinking water and doing his thing. I don't know if they really dived into Slade like having to like consume a lot of food just to for his metabolism's purposes. And again, I know it's the suit that's kind of giving these abilities, but does that mean like it's giving Slade himself the abilities, or is it just the suit? Like if he took the suit off, would he not have the Speed Force anymore? I don't know. It's kind of strange how it all works with time travel and that. But Slade, anyways, to end the issue, Slade goes back in time and he finds his son Grant and he embraces him because obviously a lot of parents, despite who Slade is, he still does care for his family. He just has like his own interesting way of showing it, and that's one thing I thought the Priest run did very well was showcasing that Slade Wilson family dynamic and like just the impact it had on him, just the way how Slade affected his own children, and just how kind of fucked up the Wilson family is in general. I mean, Slade is a mercenary. He goes out and he's an assassin and he kills people, but he's also like really intelligent. He has like his own crazy version of his moral compass. He always Slade is a very fascinating character, and I really like the way that Priest wrote him for the most part. And I just think the run in general did a good job pushing the envelope at times, but also showcasing just who Slade is as a character very well. Again, I do recommend checking out the Deathstroke Rebirth run. Aside from the Batman vs Deathstroke, that was one arc, and the Terminus Agenda, which Priest had a hand in writing. those are kind of the two parts where I'm just like, yeah. Other than that, I do enjoy the run, but like those two storylines, I just was kind of tired of it. But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for Deathstroke issue number 19. I enjoyed this issue. I thought it was pretty good. Compared to the first three issues, I would rank issue number the second part, the Teen Titans issue, above this one slightly. But both issues of Deathstroke and Teen Titans were better than the issue in Titans. I think Titans overall was the weakest in terms of the early Rebirth run stuff. But anyways, that's all I got to say. Thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to come back next time as we conclude the Lazarus Contract storyline with the Teen Titans annual number 1, which is kind of strange because they already had like 2 separate Teen Titans annuals. There's so many Teen Titans annuals within the Teen Titans book that it just kind of comes to the point where like, there's a special, there's an annual one, there's another annual one, and it's all part of the technically the same run. So it's kind of confusing how that works. But that's what we'll talk about next time is the conclusion to the Lazarus Contract storyline. It's a little bit bigger of an issue. It sets up things for future parts of the DC Rebirth titles. And just kind of reading this right now just kind of makes me miss where we were at just a few years ago at the start of Rebirth. I mean, this is what, like 2016, 2017 when this issue came out? Yeah, it's definitely kind of a bit of a bummer that it's kind of faltered so much from where it once was and how promising the start of Rebirth was. But I think March next year you'll see a big relaunch in a lot of titles, and hopefully for the best, because I think DC really needs to get back on track to telling better stories. They seemingly are with some titles. They're slowly working it in. I think after the future state, whatever it's gonna be, I think things will be in better shape than they are now. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Be sure to come back next time. And thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody watching these videos, liking, sharing, subscribing, all that fun stuff. Hit that bell for notifications. And as always, take care now. Bye-bye then. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace.